Why you can't feel your back when you're training it, and to be honest, your biceps are just fucking absolutely fried by the end. In this video, we're going to solve that issue. And this movement mainly comes on rows, but it also comes on pull downs. So we're going to get that fixed. Why I decided to make this video was I've watched a fuck ton of form clips from the boys in my coaching program, and they're all consistently making these style of mistakes. And I know when I see people in the gym, universally, this is the issue. Now, why is this a problem in the first place? And this also takes me on to maybe why you should warrant listening to me. At least I'll tell you 30 seconds in, so you can click off if you don't think it's worthy of your time. I've managed to develop a fairly decent sized back over the years or two from implementing these concepts. I learned from the professionals. I learned from the best. From my time in Dubai when I was working at the world's leading personal training company, and then my back has managed to blow up. So the problem is, if we don't fix this, you're just never going to have a thick enough back or a wide enough back to give you that V-taper look. And it's almost like, I say it like, it's like your turtle shell. That's like your shield of your body. And it's going to give you that wide aesthetic frame. But if you don't have that, you may build big from the front, and fair play to you, I really hope you do. But if you're pretty straight up from this point here, appreciate the image is quite close, and I am doing a lat spread anyway. But let's just take this back in a bit, and imagine you're sat here and here. You're just not going to look as wide. You're not going to look as strong as if you do train. So you can do all the rows and the pull downs you want. Your arms will be fried, but then you'll not be able to progress past a certain point anyway, because there's only so much your arms can actually lift, and once they can't lift anymore, your back still has a lot more in the tank, and that's the main issue here. Your back has plenty, but your arms are failing first. So this video, my promise to you is, but if you watch this video to the end, I will have served you enough that you will understand how to engage your back and how we can actually grow a decent fucking V-taper back and not completely blow our arms up in the process. To do so, we're going to utilize 3 exercises. I'm going to break down the videos on this video as well, so you can see them, and we can really master the concepts and why people are fucking it up. So let's roll straight into that. So actually, I believe it will serve us to understand first and foremost the origin and the insertion of the muscle that it is we're trying to grow. So our lats, they start down here. They also attach like into here, and then they run onto the back of the humerus up here. So you've got like origin, like this line here is the origin, and this point here is the insertion of the muscle. So let's think about this now. If you need to train your back, we want to shorten the origin and insertion together, don't we, to contract the physical muscle. Now, if it's attached at this point here, when we do these exercises, what don't we want to focus on? We don't want to focus on our hands on both of these exercises, but that's what people do. I actually don't have any videos of bad form because I'm not going to show you my clients, and I don't have any myself because I've been practicing this shit for years. But what people will do is they'll be at the start of a lat pull down, and the first thing they will pull from will be their hands. So the hand will move first. If the hand moves first, which weirdly enough, that's what you would think would be the right answer. The hand would move first. But what people do is they'll snatch from the top. If the hand moves first, the first thing to close down is the elbow joint. Now, straight away, if you're decreasing this as you're trying to pull down, your your biceps going to get fried beforehand. And we can go into like other videos on tempo and range of motion, and I've done plenty of videos on that, but let's only focus on the exercise execution today. Let's assume you do lift with a good solid tempo of 3 seconds on the way down, 1 second pause, 2 or 1 second on the way back up, and then a 1 second pause in the lengthened position, and then you pull again. Now, the key thing you want to think about when you're training your back is you're not pulling, you're dragging. And what are you dragging? You're going to drag your upper arm from it being up above your body here. You're going to drag it, or think upper arm, think elbow. Think about dragging your elbow from all the way up here down towards your hip. And then what that will do is it will close the origin insertion together. So you're going to imagine almost when you're training that your arms have been cut off past your elbow joint, and these are just connectors to the tool. And realistically, you should probably wear straps anyway. For this style of grip, you don't need to, but for this, you 100% will need straps. So what this will do is it will give you the analogy that your grip strength's taken out of the equation, so that's not going to burn out. You're just connected to the tool, so then you can really focus on the elbows. But I'm going to go one bigger, or one better for you, should I say, and this is where the exercises come in. To digest this concept, I want to show you the shrug. Now, the reason I want to show you the shrug is, shrug's a bit more of a simple one, because when you're doing it, you pretty much got a straight arm, because you know that there's no need to bend the arm. Well, I want you to have that mindset when you're doing every other exercise. So on a shrug, you're going to initiate from from the scapula and ultimately into the upper trap region. So if you're doing that for your shrug, as I ask you, and that's part of your back, why not for the rest of the back movements? Why are we pulling and snatching from our hands as opposed to shrugging from the scapula? And to be honest, that is a universal tip that if you only take that away from this video, your back will start to blow up. Let's look at it on another exercise. This is a single arm pull down here. Now what you want to do is you get to the top, drag the elbow, then squeeze. You'll notice how the arm closes as much as it needs to, but it's not completely shut. There's a tiny bit more room in there. So you're thinking, drag the elbow, but what you're also thinking is, move from this point forward first, and then the elbow will follow. So we're in here, we're up tight, bang, shoulder comes down, and the elbow drags all the way through to follow it down. Notice as well, what a lot of you will do is, you'll get to the top, and just pause the video as it gets to the top. So you'll get to the top up here, you'll take the tension off the lat, and you'll come onto the shoulder. So what that looks like is, as you come up, you go bum, 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 and you'll go here, or up here, and you'll take the tension off. So now when you pull anyway from the hand, of course it's going to go hand, bicep, shoulder, little bit of back as I get into the pocket, but actually it's a bit too heavy anyway because I didn't really lift with the proper form, so I don't feel my back. And that's generally why people aren't feeling their back, because they're just, their execution's just off, to be honest. So keep the tension on, drive from the elbow back into that hip. Lat starts, lat finishes, we shorten here. Let's look at it again on the row exercise. Now, row is probably the one exercise that people struggle to feel the most. Honestly, if you do struggle, I would maybe say just sit yourself up on a cable row. You know, one where you put your feet up and then drag from there. And where there is going to be a little bit of movement, fine. But I actually find where you chest support a lot of stuff, although it's the right thing to do, I just find people struggle to really get that elbow back behind the body and get into that shoulder extension, where their body weight is forcing their chest down into round. If you're new to lifting, you need to really lighten the weight so you can just get used to pulling the shoulders back and down. I did try it with a client, and they had full intent and they were doing everything they could, but actually it served us just not to have that pressure on the chest that's forcing you down. So maybe a seated cable row would actually serve you better. But if I do this exercise over a seated cable row because of its stability and its loadability. So let's watch this exercise here. And what I want you to think about now. So when we're going to do this exercise, the same analogy comes with the shrug. You're going to think about initiating the shoulders back first to shrug and contract the muscle here. That will only be allowed to go so far. The range of motion is limited on a shrug, as you've seen in the last exercise. So that's when the elbows come in, and the elbows follow back behind the back, and you want to get your shoulder into what's known as full shoulder extension, which is your elbows are back behind the body as much as possible, and you're contracting this portion of the muscle here. Let's have a look at this exercise. To get the squeeze, slowly release it out, keep the tension at the bottom, initiate from the shoulders, then the elbows follow. Bang. Obviously, as you get deep into the exercise, form's going to break down. That's fine on the last rep because it means you're pushing intensity. You're slow on the way out, you get the pause, shoulders, bang, elbows. It's very, very subtle, and maybe you can't even tell as you watch this video, but that's the cues I've drilled time and time again in my head. Shoulders move first, then the elbows follow, contract and squeeze the back at the top, and then release. And obviously this gets really fucking heavy really fast. So as you can see here, form's starting to break down. I'm having to fight to keep that chest out and open, and we're rounding, and we're starting to lose it towards that last rep, to be honest. But when I'm pushing intensity and trying to grind that last bit out, if form breaks down a little bit on the last rep, I can deal with that, as long as the first few were pretty well executed. Because if the first few are not well executed, heaven forbid how the last exercise is going to look. So what are the key takeaways here? For you to actually be able to engage and grow your back, it's, well, first of all, understanding the origin and insertion point of the muscle that we're trying to train. It's flipping it in reverse. So when we're going to conduct the exercise, we're not thinking pull from tool, last thing to finish is the muscle. We're thinking start with the muscle, retract the scapula, pull the shoulder blades back, shrug pretty much on every exercise that you're doing, and then it's the elbow that's getting dragged into the pocket that's going to allow that contraction of the back. And by just doing that, naturally there'll just be a little bit less elbow flexion, bend at the elbow, and your biceps just won't toast as quick. And wear straps. So you'll find your biceps just won't be as burnt out. Obviously, you're still going to feel them, of course you are. There's still elbow flexion going on as you're doing some of those exercises. There's going to be a little bit of bicep, of course there is. But I'll be honest, when I'm doing lat pull down, or single arm lat pull down especially, I'm not really feeling my bicep, because I've just managed to turn off my muscle connection to anything above the elbow joint, and I'm just dragging that elbow towards the hip. It's always locked on the lat, so the tension is there, and that's what you need to think about. Mechanical tension, putting tension on the working muscle, not letting it fall off. And you know, let's be honest, if you've been lifting over a year, you know if the tension's fallen off that working muscle. Like, let's be frank, you do know. You know if you press those weights back up to the top and your fucking shoulders have taken the tension and it's off your back, you know, you can feel it. You're a human being with feelings. You know when it's come off. You're not blind to this shit. So be cautious. Keep the tension on the working muscle. Think about shortening the origin and the insertion together. If you found this video useful, subscribe to the channel. If you want to work with me personally, there'll be a link in the description. Other than that, check me out on Instagram, and I will see you tomorrow.